Nobody expected a complete reboot after last year's stumble, yet here we are with fresh playbooks, fresh voices, and a locker room that can feel the clock ticking. The shocking part is that every dream or nightmare starts now, long before the first snap, and the rest of the league is waiting to see if New Orleans can actually make all these brave moves matter. Kellen Moore steps onto Airline Drive carrying the boldest resume in town, the kind that whispers promises instead of shouting them. His offenses ranked inside the top 10 in points per game in 5 of the last 6 seasons, which sounds electric until you remember that the Superdome crowd has tasted false hope before. This might change everything only if Moore's tempo and creativity translate from theory to turf, and that depends on who is taking the shotgun snaps and who keeps that pocket clean. Suddenly, every practice throw, every audible, every single rep turns into evidence for or against a gamble that could rewrite Saints history. But here's the twist that turns buzz into tension. 2 young quarterbacks, Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler, are fighting for the same throne, and the fan base is split right down the middle. One will become the face of the Moore era, the other might fade before he ever truly begins. What nobody is talking about is how this duel could push both passers to a level New Orleans hasn't seen since breezy championship days. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Saints and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 400 likes on this video. The New Orleans Saints didn't just hand over the keys to a veteran, they ripped the rearview mirror off completely. Instead of playing it safe, they dove headfirst into a quarterback battle between 2 unproven but hungry rookies. Tyler Shuck, a late-round project with mobility and toughness, now finds himself squaring off against Spencer Rattler, the former college star, who spent years trying to silence critics. This isn't just about talent anymore, it's about trust. And when a franchise puts its future on 2 names with 0 NFL starts, the stakes go through the roof. What's wild is how fast this has escalated. Kellen Moore and quarterbacks coach Doug Nussmeier have doubled down on their plan to develop from within, showing 0 urgency to sign a backup vet. That says everything. The staff believes the system will elevate the player, not the other way around. That confidence is bold, but it also leaves no room for error. Whoever wins the job won't just run the offense, he'll define Moore's first chapter in New Orleans. But here's where it gets tense. Fans are already splitting into camps, debating who's the better fit, who has the edge, who has the it factor. Social media is turning every OTA throw into fuel. And yet, this is the type of battle that could sharpen both players into something special. If one rises fast, the franchise gets its answer. If both fall short, the Saints could be staring at another restart in just 12 months. Up next, we shift to the one group that will decide if these quarterbacks have a chance to survive at all, the offensive line. If the New Orleans Saints want to know how far they can go in 2025, they better start by looking in the trenches. Because no matter how talented your quarterback is, it won't matter if he's running for his life. Last season, the offensive line collapsed under the weight of injuries, and the moment starters dropped, the entire rhythm of the offense vanished. Now, with rookie left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. entering the league as a top draft investment, the pressure is on from day one. He's not just filling a role, he's being counted on to anchor a revival. Trevor Penning, once seen as a cornerstone, has been moved inside to guard in hopes of finding consistency. That experiment needs to work. On the opposite end, Talise Fuaga is expected to handle right tackle duties after an impressive rookie campaign. Add in Eric McCoy, who remains elite at center when healthy, and Cesar Ruiz, who still battles inconsistency, and you get a group with high upside, but only if everyone stays on the field. That's the scary part. There's talent, there's investment, but the foundation is still fragile. The twist? This unit doesn't just need to survive. It needs to dominate. The Saints want a fast-paced, high-volume offense. That only works if the line can handle the speed and punishment. No more reshuffling every week. No more hoping backups can hold the edge. It's now or never for this group to become a strength instead of a liability. And once we know whether the line can hold, we shift focus to a position group that's filled with speed, flash, and one glaring weakness, depth. Let's talk about the wide receivers. The Saints might be one injury away from chaos at wide receiver, and that's not an exaggeration. At the top, Chris Olave remains the crown jewel, explosive, polished, and already producing like a WR1. Rashid Shaheed adds pure speed that stretches defenses, and Bub Means has turned heads with his physical play during early workouts. But after those 3, the depth chart gets shaky fast. Brandon Cooks brings experience, but he's no longer in his prime and has struggled to stay healthy. Cedric Wilson has bounced around, and Donovan Peoples-Jones is still searching for consistency. That's not the kind of security a young quarterback needs. The problem isn't just talent, it's size. This receiver group is lightning quick, but undersized across the board. That creates problems in red zone matchups and contested catch situations. Keenan Allen and Gabe Davis, both still unsigned, would instantly fix that issue. Allen knows Kellen Moore's offense inside out, and Davis brings the big frame this room lacks. Yet for now, the Saints are hoping their top three can carry the load while the rest fight for relevance. What nobody's mentioning is how fragile this setup really is. If Chris or Shaheed miss time, the drop-off is immediate. That's why the pressure isn't just on the starters to perform, it's on the front office to stay aggressive and possibly make another move. Because if the wideouts can't stay healthy or win matchups, everything else falls apart. And if the passing game stumbles, the run game has to do something it hasn't done in years: carry the franchise. That's what we're diving into next. Alvin Kamara has been the engine of this offense for years, but the clock is ticking louder than ever. He came within 50 yards of his first 1,000-yard rushing season in 2024, and now he enters 2025 with one mission: prove he still belongs in the league's elite. But here's the catch. Kamara can't do it alone anymore. Behind him, the Saints have a crowded but unproven backfield, and someone has to emerge as the real number two. Kendre Miller enters his third season with something to prove after battling injuries and inconsistency. Meanwhile, rookie Devin Neal brings college production and quiet confidence, but hasn't played a single NFL snap yet. Then there's Cam Akers, who joined the team after a minicamp tryout and still feels like a wild card. Clyde Edwards-Helaire also lingers on the edge of the roster, but it's clear his role depends on how the others perform. The Saints are expected to carry 4 backs, but only one has proven he can carry a full NFL workload. That makes this unit risky, even with its potential. And in an offense that Kellen Moore wants to run at high tempo, rotating fresh legs is not optional, it's critical. What could flip the script is balance. Moore's offense with the Eagles last year led the NFL in rushing attempts per game, and that shows he's willing to lean on the ground game when needed. But to do that in New Orleans, this backfield must stay healthy and productive across all 4 quarters. Because if the ground attack stalls, the offense loses its rhythm, and the pressure falls right back on a young quarterback's shoulders. Now, let's turn the page and talk about the one unit that simply cannot afford to fail again: the defense. The New Orleans Saints defense collapsed last season, ranking 30th in yards allowed per rush and finishing tied for 18th in sacks, forcing a complete overhaul led by new coordinator Brandon Staley and D-line coach Bo Davis. With a shift to a 3-4 scheme, the Saints added key pieces like a healthy Chase Young, veteran David Godchaux, and rookies Vernon Broughton and Jonas Sanker to rebuild the front. Rookie linebacker Danny Stutzman joins veterans Demario Davis and Pete Werner in a unit now tasked with flipping last year's failures into early momentum. If the revamped front can hold the line, the explosive second level might finally turn potential into production. The New Orleans Saints have over $29 million in cap space, and the front office is sitting on a decision that could quietly decide how far this team goes in 2025. They've already built a younger, faster roster, but one final move, just one, might unlock the balance they're missing. Whether it's adding a big-bodied receiver like Keenan Allen, a veteran corner like Asante Samuel Jr., or swinging for a trade involving someone like Jalen Ramsey, the right addition could push this group from exciting to dangerous. And with Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore now guiding both sides of the ball, bringing in someone who already understands their schemes could be the difference between momentum and misfire. So here's the real question. Should the Saints go all in and use that cap space now, or play it safe and roll money into next year? And if they do sign one more name, who should it be? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you believe this team is on the rise, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep breakdowns like this. The Saints have set the table. Now it's about finishing the job.